I've always wondered what is allowed and not allowed in marriage. And so parent alert, if you're driving with kids in the minivan right now, you might want to switch over to EWTN radio, listen to some inspirational programming there for the kids, but give you some specifics in terms of, well, what's allowed, what's not allowed. The basic moral premise is that the sexual act should be culminated in the natural way. In other words, vaginal intercourse. That is the act of intercourse that should culminate the sexual act. In terms of sexual acts that lead up to the consummation of the sexual union, there is speculation and even debate in terms of, is this allowed? Is that allowed? And, you know, I would say things in terms of, like, I go to high school assemblies and we do these Q&As with the kids. And I remember the first one I ever gave with Kristalina when she was with me. It was at a junior high in Washington, D.C. And the kids had submitted questions. These are 7th and 8th grade kids. And this was 20 years ago. And we started going through these baskets of questions. And like Kristalina almost passed out, just reading the morbidity of how graphic these questions were, knowing these, how are these coming from the minds of 7th grade boys and girls? And it's just because they had been so pornified in their expectations of sexual love. This is why I think a lot of people are declaring themselves to be asexual or demisexual nowadays. It's because this whole hookup culture has just become so repulsive. And so a lot of people have pornographic expectations of marital intimacy. And it would include such things as anal intercourse, which I think is contrary to the natural law. It is physically unhealthy for both spouses to engage in that. In terms of other forms of foreplay, I mean, the church hasn't really said, you know, this part of the body is untouchable with that part of the body, or this, what we think, I think what we need to use there is this an expression of reverence towards the body? Is this an expression of love toward the other person? And if one person feels that that act is a violation of their dignity, that maybe it brings up wounds from the past, the other spouse should have enough common sense and reverence and respect to know, you know what, I don't need that in order to express love to her. Maybe it's not objectively morally wrong speaking to use that as an act of foreplay leading to an act of the consummation of marital love. But if she in any way, shape, or forms, or he finds that act to be degrading or imposing upon them or brings up wounds from the past, then talk it through and realize that, hey, I don't need that from you. And you know, and I think what that'll end up doing will make the person more open towards your wishes and needs in marriage as well. I think healthy sex life in marriage is a lot about communicating, communicating your desires, what you don't like, what you don't like. And I think a good, honest marriage has open and honest communication. And if you truly love each other, I mean, what's the definition of love? John Paul II says, love is an act of the will that consists of preferring the good of the other to the good of oneself. And so instead of just trying to figure out how can I derive the most pleasure from my spouse, it's what can I do that's objectively best for this person? And if that sexual act is not in their best interest emotionally, physically, or spiritually, then I have no right doing it. And so this would also involve the not using contraception in marriage. If you have a good reason to plan out your next pregnancy, you can use natural family planning. It's more than 99% effective. Another thing that has no place in the bedroom would be pornography. People think, oh, well, you know, we both agree to, you know, use some porn in the bedroom, kind of spice up the marriage a little bit. This is not spicing up marriage. This is infidelity. You're cheating on your spouse while you're with your spouse. This is not how to build intimacy. Intimacy is into me, see, not into go lust after that other woman so you get excited about using me as a proxy. No, a woman knows when her body is being used as some object of lust for the imagination that he's giving to some other woman. This does not build intimacy. Porn has no place in the bedroom because marriage was never supposed to be the fulfillment of porn. Porn is the distortion of human love. I mean, I don't know if you saw Billie Eilish came out with, she was on the Howard Stern show like 3 weeks ago, and she actually said, porn destroyed my brain. And she said, I'm so angry that porn is so loved. She said, I'm angry at myself for thinking that it was okay. Because look, women's bodies don't look like that. We don't react like that. But she was so raw and honest of just saying, look, I think it destroyed my brain because I was looking at the stuff. She said, at 11 years old, for years, And I think it left a scar tissue, in a sense, in our heart. And you could look up online the Howard Stern show and type in her name and pull up, the conversation that they had together. Obviously, a Howard Stern show, it's not going to be rated G, but it's a real raw and open look from someone who's obviously not some devout Catholic, talking about this is destructive to love. This is not kindling to arouse, feelings of closeness and passion to the spouse, because lust promises it'll bring you closer together. Isn't that what sin always does? Oh, it'll bring you guys so much closer together. But sin divides. It drives a wedge between you. Whereas purity on the outside looks like it would divide the two of you, but it come between you, but it unites you, because God is love. And where there's affection being expressed that isn't a reflection of the divine, it isn't love, it's lust. And so if you're looking for more detail in terms of what's on inbounds and out of bounds in terms of marital intimacy, I would recommend Christopher West's book, Good News About Sex and Marriage. It's a Q&A book that he wrote while he was directing the Marriage and Family Life Office out of Archdiocese of Denver. Fantastic Q&A book that goes into all these things.